Hi there. Today is Friday, November 20th, and this is another episode of Friday 5 at 5 with Denver Public Library. My name is Lainey. I'm a librarian at DPL's downtown central location, and in 15 minutes or less, we'll have you up to speed on 5 new titles we can't wait for you to read or listen to. Introducing Social Distancing, a small online publication of art, writing, and other creative works by the Denver community that reflects our lives in the time of COVID-19. We at DPL believe there is power in taking a moment to meditate on the weight of the times in which we find ourselves, and that creative expression helps us stay connected to ourselves and to each other. View our latest issue and learn how to submit to our next one at the link below. Now on to this week's spread. Earth Eater by Dolores Reyes is our first title today. Print book coming soon, ebook and e-audio available on Overdrive. Set in an unnamed slum in contemporary Argentina, Earth Eater is the story of a young woman who finds herself drawn to eating the earth, a compulsion that gives her visions of broken and lost lives. With her first taste of dirt, she learns the horrifying truth of her mother's death. Disturbed by what she witnesses, the woman keeps her visions to herself. But when Earth Eater begins an unlikely relationship with a withdrawn police officer, word of her ability begins to spread. And soon, desperate members of her community beg for her help, anxious to uncover the truth about their own loved ones. Surreal and haunting, spare yet complex, Earth Eater is a dark, emotionally resonant tale told from a feminist perspective that brilliantly explores the stories of those left behind, the women enduring the pain of uncertainty, whose lives have been shaped by violence and loss. For more translated from the Spanish lit with a dark edge, try Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor, or give The Book of X by Sarah Rose Etter a go if you're into the feminist magical realism angle. At number 2, we have Nights When Nothing Happened by Simon Hahn, on Overdrive in ebook and e-audio formats, print book coming soon. From the outside, the Changs seem like so-called model immigrants. Once Patty landed a tech job near Dallas, she and Liang grew secure enough to have a second child, and to send for their first from his grandparents back in China. Isn't this what they sacrificed so much for? But then little Annabelle begins to sleepwalk at night, putting into motion a string of misunderstandings that not only threaten to set their community against them, but force to the surface the secrets that have made them fear one another. How can a man make peace with the terrors of his past? How can a child regain trust in unconditional love? How can a family stop bearing its history and forge a way through it to a more honest intimacy? This debut from Tianjin, China-born, Texas-raised Han is gripping storytelling immersed in the crosscurrents that have reshaped the American landscape. Says the New York Times Book Review, his voice embodies the monotony of feeling out of place, of realizing that life continues to roll forward, even if all you experience is inertia. Explore more Chinese immigrant narratives in Sour Heart by Jenny Sheng or The Leavers by Lisa Ko. At number 3, we have An Onion in My Pocket, My Life with Vegetables by Deborah Madison, on Overdrive as an ebook, print book coming soon. Thanks to her beloved cookbooks, among them the modern classic, Vegetarian Cooking for Everyone, and groundbreaking work as the chef at Green's restaurant in San Francisco, Madison, though not a vegetarian herself, has long been revered as this country's leading authority on vegetables. She helped to transform vegetarian from a dirty word into a mainstream way of eating. But before she became a household name, Madison spent almost 20 years as an ordained Buddhist priest, coming of age in the midst of counterculture San Francisco. In this charmingly intimate and refreshingly frank memoir, she tells her story, and with it the story of the vegetarian movement for the very first time. From her childhood in Big Ag, Northern California, to working in the kitchen of the then-new Chez Panisse, and from the birth of food TV to the age of green markets everywhere, An Onion in My Pocket is as much the story of the evolution of American foodways as it is the memoir of the woman at the forefront. As Madison's hometown paper, the San Francisco Chronicle, says, the splendidly meandering narrative reads like a long dinner party with plenty of wine. For fans of friend Alice Waters' Coming to My Senses, The Making of a Counterculture Cook, and Ruth Reichel's Save Me the Plums. Next is At Night, All Blood is Black by David DIOP, which we have available in print and on Overdrive in ebook format. Alpha is a Senegalese man who, never before having left his village, finds himself fighting as a so-called chocolat soldier with the French army during World War I. When his friend Mademba Diop is seriously injured in battle, Diop begs Alpha to kill him and spare him the pain of a long and agonizing death in no man's land. Alpha, however, can't bring himself to dispatch his friend, and madness creeps into his mind as he comes to see this refusal as a cruel failure of nerve. A madness reviewer and author Chigozie Obioma says calls to mind Samuel Coleridge's epic poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Anxious to avenge the death of his friend and find forgiveness for himself, Alpha begins a macabre ritual. Every night he sneaks across enemy lines to find and murder a blue-eyed German soldier, and every night he returns to base, unharmed, with the German's severed hand. At first, his comrades look at Alpha's deeds with admiration, but soon, rumors begin to circulate that this super soldier isn't a hero, but a sorcerer, a soul eater. Plans are hatched to get Alpha away from the front, and to separate him from his growing collection of hands. But how does one reason with a sorcerer, and how far will Alpha go to make amends to his dead friend? Peppered with bullets and black magic, this remarkable novel fills in a forgotten chapter in the history of World War I. Blending oral storytelling traditions with the gritty day-to-day journalistic horror of life in the trenches, this debut, translated from the French but firmly rooted in Senegalese Wolof culture, is a dazzling tale of mythic proportions. For more on madness and war, check out To Die in Spring by Ralph Rothman or Shahryar Mandanipour's Moonbrow. At number 5 this time, The Leader's Guide to Unconscious Bias, How to Reframe Bias, Cultivate Connection, and Create High-Performing Teams by Pamela Fuller and Mark Murphy with Ann Chow. Book coming soon, ebook and e-audio formats on Overdrive. Unconscious bias affects everyone. It can look like the disappointment of an HR professional when a candidate for a new position asks about maternity leave. It can look like preferring the application of an Ivy League graduate over one from a state school. It can look like assuming a man is more entitled to speak in a meeting than his female junior colleague. Ideal for every manager who wants to understand and move past their own preconceived ideas, The Leader's Guide to Unconscious Bias explains that bias is the result of mental shortcuts, our likes and dislikes, and is a natural part of the human condition. And what we assume about each other and how we interact with one another has vast effects on our organizational success, especially in the workplace. Teaching you how to overcome unconscious bias, this book provides more than 30 unique tools, such as a prep worksheet and a list of ways to reframe your unconscious thoughts. By recognizing bias, emphasizing empathy and curiosity, and making true understanding a priority in the workplace, we can unlock the potential of every person we encounter, and allow employees to be the whole people they really are. Find more practicable advice for building and being a part of better workplaces in Safe Enough to Soar by Frederick A. Miller and Judith H. Katz, and Subtle Acts of Exclusion, How to Understand, Identify, and Stop Microaggressions by Tiffany Jana and Michael Barron. Plus, in case you missed it, check out My Autobiography of CARSON McCullers by JENN, SHAPLAND, a National Book Award finalist, and Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence in Nonfiction Longlist Selection. Available on Overdrive as an ebook, print book also available. Shapland resituates the mythology of The Heart is a Lonely Hunter's Carson McCullers to honor the author's debated sexuality. While interning at the Harry Ransom Center, home of McCullers' archives, Shapland discovers a series of intimate letters between the author and a woman named Anne Marie. To her, they are a revelation. She cuts her hair short. She begins publicly identifying as a lesbian. And as she delves ever deeper into McCullers' papers and personal history, she offers glimpses into her own life and worries that she imposes her sexuality narrative on the authors. A nuanced examination of the telling of queer histories. Says the New York Times Book Review, Shapland's book is the kind of state-of-the-form reckoning that makes one wish there were more like it. After all, it's often by looking back that we move the conversation forward, and by inhabiting the lives of others that we might glimpse pieces of our own. For fans of fellow genre-bending queer memoirs, In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado and The Argonauts by Maggie Nelson. And that's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in to the Denver Public Library's Friday 5 at 5. Check out or place a hold on these titles and a whole lot more right now at denverlibrary.org/downloads, link below, and be sure to tune in next month for a whole new batch of recommended reads.